The TikTok ban is getting closer. Gen Z is freaking out. And we're going to talk about what does this really mean for businesses, other creators, and Gen Z in general.
The clock has started ticking for TikTok and 4 million federal workers. The White House announcing Monday that government agencies have 30 days to delete TikTok from their devices and systems. The move comes after the Chinese-owned app was banned by Congress on federal devices in December. It's all
okay. So right out the gate, it's already been banned on federal devices. You know, they're being cute. The clock is ticking for TikTok. Ooh, it's kind of like a Migos bar. But it's already been banned on federal devices, so this is not surprising.
Part of a growing backlash tied to national security concerns. Some experts worry ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, could give the Chinese government access to sensitive user data or manipulate what users in the U.S. see. 41 states already have some sort of ban on state-owned devices and networks in effect or under consideration. As a result, students in places like Mississippi, Arkansas, and Texas have not been able to access TikTok on school networks for weeks.
Okay, so it's on Congress phone, it's on government federal phones, which makes sense. It's also on school campuses. They're banning it from the Wi-Fi networks. Now we're going to hear what this Gen Z female has to say about this TikTok ban.
I'm 18. We're all 18. Like, let me share my information with China if I want to. Like, I literally could care less.
What is the age requirement to be president? Is it 35, I think? This is why we don't take input from people in my generation, okay? Here's a general understanding. Young people of every generation, every single time, not just Gen Z, people freak out, Gen Z is crazy. No, young people of every time really only care about their immediate needs and aren't future thinking. But like, guys, we gotta admit, this whole TikTok thing's a little crazy. So they're allowed access to like your camera, devices. If you send a TikTok to someone that doesn't even have TikTok on their phone, they're now allowed to have access to those person's information as well. TikTok is nuts, dude. And its intense connection to China it should be concerning. And I think Gen Z in general, we should at least have some loyalty somewhere. More than just TikTok. I know we just want to sit on our phones and we just want to watch our videos, dude. But like, come on, we got to have some loyalty to like, oh, national security, a little bit.
Bieberdorf teaches chemistry at the University of Texas at Austin.
My students share my frustrations. They don't like being told what they can and cannot do.
But for Kate, the chemist on TikTok, it's personal.
I think if there is a federal ban or anything, we will all just shift to another platform that allows us to be creative.
A TikTok executive addressed concern.
That was very school teacher of her. That allows us to be creative. Yeah. That's what whoever's on TikTok, you just don't realize that there's like shorts and reels out there. And I know the algorithm isn't as good, but like, trust me, you don't want it to be as good. It's more fun when you get stuff that like, it doesn't think you'd be interested in. Cause then you go, oh, what is that? And then you're kind of like, oh, this is uninteresting. I'm leaving. There's other platforms. There's shorts. There's Instagram reels. There's just, dude, national security.
In a Capitol Hill hearing last year.
We've also said under no circumstances would we give that data to China.
Yet the app remains one of the...
That's TikTok COO. You know, TikTok COO is definitely a lizard person. That was a robot. We just watched a robot.
World's most popular pastimes, with more than twice as many downloads over the last decade as its closest rival, YouTube. A nationwide ban for all Americans under consideration by a handful of senators seems unlikely, but it has some influencers worried.
I'm a little terrified. I'm not built for a real job.
The prospect has caused some outside Washington to wonder whether TikTok really does.
This man said, I'm terrified. I'm not built for a real job. I think maybe that's what it is. We're coming to terms with like, you can't just blow up on TikTok, which, by the way, TikTok isn't paying people good money. Most TikTok creators are already creating income outside of the actual TikTok platform because they have to. And this was teased out. This ban was teased out a little while ago as well. So it's not surprising. So if a TikTok creator is saying, you know, he doesn't want to have to find a real job, he already doesn't have a real job. He's not getting paid by TikTok.
Have too much of our attention.
So this may actually be a really good time to reconsider your relationship with this app.
In a statement, TikTok called the ban political theater and says it hopes Congress can find solutions that don't censor millions of Americans. Meanwhile, China also responded to the ban overnight, saying in part the U.S. government should effectively respect the principles of market economy and fair competition.
Guys, China said this. China said this. Where was China when Vine was around? Guys, was China being like, we need to fund Vine? Oh, I'm so sad that this thing is going away. Chinese foreign ministry spokesperson talking about this is kind of a dead giveaway. They're like, no, you should keep it on all your devices. You know, in fact, as you Americans call it, this is censorship. You guys shouldn't do this. This is bad. They're like, look, we're great capitalists. We crushed the market in your market, and you should just let us steal your information.
Put this in perspective for us. What's the harm here? I mean, what kind of information is TikTok collecting from users?
Well, all of us, have the experience, I think, who've used TikTok of being in that power group where they have to tell you to go to bed because you've been looking at it so long. But, the cybersecurity concerns here have to do with how much information is collected. It's like any other social media app. It's going to try and grab your name, your phone number, your email, but it also gets your IP address. It probably gets your physical location, and it gets a bunch of biometrics. It gets your face, it gets your voice. It is definitely at the cutting edge of what can be collected by an app these days.
As you said in the piece, there are a lot of people who want a full ban of TikTok, including some prominent members of Congress. Is there any precedent for that? Can that be done?
I mean, aside from the prohibition of alcohol, we have not seen that, right? We schedule a number of harmful drugs, but I mean, you guys, you have to consider, right? 450,000 Americans die of cigarette smoke every year, and we still sell cigarettes in this country. We are not a country that bans this kind of thing, so it's very unlikely. That said, this is a Chinese-owned company, and that seems to have created a lot of political momentum around this issue.
To be continued on that one.
Yeah,
Still buzzing. Right. Jake,
thanks, Jake.
So now, notice, TikTok never set up a really great creator economy side of things, so they're not going to get the same pushback that YouTube would be getting or Google has with Section 230. Section 230, if you're not familiar, they're trying to shut down Google, essentially. They're trying to say that Google is liable for anything that is on their platform. And that would essentially shut down Google and shut down YouTube. But YouTube and Google are such a huge part of the economy, and Section 230 is kind of a sus shot, Like it doesn't actually matter. So besides Section 230 being a bad case, Google and YouTube have a lot more consideration by the economic side of it. And TikTok doesn't. They pay people pennies. If they get shut down, those creators are already creating on Instagram, on YouTube. Gen Z, they'll move their way. They'll move their way to these other platforms and not mind it. And it's different than cigarettes, like this guy was saying, because it is a national security risk. So I guess the question is, like, when do we start to care a little bit, about maybe the security of the nation? Just being like, oh, I do like living in a capitalistic free market, and I like to have the freedom of speech. So I'm actually not going to give myself to China. That's kind of like, I think that is worthy of consideration. Now, what's really funny is if you go to TikTok on Twitter, they changed their name to TikTok US. Dude, how funny is that? Do you know like a Facebook US or a Twitter US or an Instagram US? It's implied. It's a US company. These guys are like throwing out all the stops. Next thing you know, we're going to have a American flag banner across the top. And they're going to be like, Congress, we love you. We are 100% US. And then their US representatives are like, we have never sent information to China. Just blatantly lying. Anyways, I thought that's very interesting. I also don't know any creators that would be upset if TikTok was banned. I'm for real. I know a decent amount of creators that do creating for a living. And every single one is like, yeah, you could ban TikTok. That's fine. Like we don't really care. It actually would save some people a step, you know. In today's culture of like you got to keep up with everything on social media, as far as a creator, you have to be posting to every single platform. It'd be nice to just get rid of TikTok for a season. What do you guys think? Comment down below. Subscribe if you want to see more, and give this video a like if you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next one. Peace.